Hey everybody, welcome back to Overland, Florida. I'm Kevin. Michael's right here behind me. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon in Ocala National Forest. We're actually on a trail that goes right by Alexander Springs. We're in that part of the forest right now. We're just gonna cruise through here, and it's Friday, and it's one of the last weekends of really good, nice weather here in Central Florida. So it's gonna be kind of a popular weekend for camping. So we're gonna scout out a few popular places, and we're gonna find whichever one has absolutely nobody or the least amount of people, and we're gonna go claim a spot. And then Ron and maybe David should be joining us later, and then whoever else from Instagram or Facebook that wants to come out, they're more than welcome to come out as well. So we're gonna get this ride started and go scope out some places. But it is actually really windy. It is much windier today than the last time we were here, which was about 3 days ago. So we'll go ahead and get the trucks and get this party started. I don't know if you can really see the dashboard very well, but my Maverick still has less than 1,000 miles on it. It has 814 miles, and I've only filled up with gas twice. I get a little over 400 miles to a tank. I think we just came up to our first obstacle, so we'll go ahead and check it out. Well, here's the first obstacle. It's not a whole lot, not for the Lexus anyway. So even though Michael just went through that and it's not that deep, I'm gonna opt for this. Now this isn't anything crazy, but the little Maverick should go up this pretty easily. The only problem is there's some roots and I might hit that front valance. So the little mud puddles to the right and an obstacle that I want to go over is to the left. So I'm actually going to put this truck in, I think, sand. There's rocks, there's mud and ruts. I'm going to try sand mode. And then I'm going to hand the camera off to Michael so he can film outside of the truck going over this. Now clearly that wasn't the biggest obstacle in the world, and definitely not the biggest obstacle out here, but if you come out here in just a regular SUV or a little pickup truck or something that's all-wheel drive, that's a reasonable obstacle that you're gonna face. And I did scrape a little bit on the bottom, but this truck does have a really big skid plate, almost the entire front half of the truck, so I wasn't really worried about that. But as long as your tires can get traction on the ground, that's really all that matters. So if you guys remember my older videos, I got the Tacoma and the trailer stuck in this mud puddle over here, and I used this pine tree over here with the winch to get out of it. Luckily there was a little dry path going through it. Probably in a couple months with the rain coming, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. So the Ocala National Forest is a really good area if you want to spot black bears. There are quite a few of them in here. And anytime I'm here with Ron, probably 99% of the time, we actually get to see bears. Usually there's, we usually at least see one, but there's usually one with some cubs or, you know, two bears together. And if you want the best chance to see bears, it's to get on some of these long grid forest roads. Like this one's 33. And when you get to the top of a hill, you can almost see for half of a mile. And usually the bears are walking on the road or just happen to be crossing the road. But that's your best chance, and especially if you're driving with other vehicles, it's usually going to be the first vehicle once it crests that hill. You can see as far as you can see, and you're going to be able to see some black bears. We do see them pretty close. Ron and I actually almost hit one with a truck. It ran out of the woods right in front of us, and we were probably only going about 15, maybe 20 miles an hour. that's probably the closest I've ever come to a black bear out here. But other than that, usually 9 times out of 10 we see black bears out here. So we are back out here at the prairie again, and we're just hoping that there's nobody over here at the spot that's claimed it already. Otherwise, we're going to move on to spot number 2. It's another beautiful day. It's a little overcast, and I don't know if there's going to be a cold front coming again tonight. Hopefully it doesn't rain, because Michael's got his camper, but Ron and I are going to be hammock camping, and I only have one awning for the hammock, so I guess we're going to do rock, paper, scissors, see whoever gets the awning. Alright, so Michael's going right. I'm going to go right through here, and this is a really sandy section. Now, I'm just in regular drive mode. I'm not in any of the sand modes or anything. And just like that, we're out of the sand section, and now we are entering the pine trees. Last time I went right and followed him, but I think I'm gonna see if I should be able to go straight. This truck's pretty narrow. Oh, actually, I take that back. I don't know. Well, that's pretty close. Looks like we're just gonna make it. Alright, so if you come out here in a little Maverick, you can go straight through that trail. And it looks like there's nobody out here. I don't see anything set up yet. And it's probably because it's a Friday. I mean, COVID's pretty much over. So people are going back to work, so most people still have to work on Fridays. So we made it to the prairie, and if you can't tell by the wind noise, it is so windy, and I'm afraid the wind's not gonna die down, and we need a good fire to cook our food tonight. So I don't know how much of that you heard, because the wind is so strong that Ron and I are actually gonna be in hammocks, which wouldn't be so bad with the wind, but we gotta use the fire to cook tonight, and I'm afraid that it's just gonna be so windy that it's gonna be really hard to cook over the fire. So we're gonna go to our second spot, which is more in the forest, so it is protected by the trees, so the wind shouldn't be as strong. I think it's still gonna be breezy just because it's just a windy day, but we're not gonna know until we try. So we're gonna go back out on Forest Road 33, and that's gonna take us to another trail that should take us to our next spot. So this is a pretty tight trail in Ocala National Forest, and it gets a lot tighter than this, but look how my truck is probably one of the most narrowest trucks they have on the market right now, and I'm barely squeezing by. And this is where people get pinstripes and their paint all scratched up, because there's just one wall on this side and one wall on the other side, and as you drive, if you got a full-size truck, you're just scratching for miles and miles. So luckily, I don't think I've really even hit a single branch yet, or at least not one that's gonna scratch my paint. So I've been pretty fortunate, as long as it doesn't get any more narrow than this. But this is basically what you're gonna find in Ocala. You have long roads like Fire Road 33 that are just big grids, and inside those grids there's little trails that go from, you know, connect one fire road to the other. So you kind of just drive around in the grids and just find a little side trail, and it's going to connect you to another forest road. And I mean, you're probably going to want a map if you come out here, but it's kind of fun to just drive around and just see where you end up, because you're always going to come out to a grid, and if you get lost, you just keep going one direction and you'll come to the edge of the forest. So this is a part of the forest that was logged years ago, and There's some new pine trees coming up. So this is a much wider section, and then it's gonna get tight again as the shrubs and everything kind of get the sunlight from the trees that were logged. All the underbrush is gonna grow pretty tall for a little while. And then once the pine trees get taller, then it'll choke everything back out. And this is where we come, or we've come before in the evening. We don't come here a lot, but I really like this trail because you have areas like this where you have a really good chance of seeing deer in the evening. Oh man, left or right? I think we're going this way. So it's trails like this that I have to be careful right now because I don't have a lift on this little truck. And I could definitely do that in this truck. I just have to watch out for that front little lower bumper. Is pretty low to the ground, but as you can see right here, like that's pretty far down. This is like something that you would see at like Citrus Wildlife Management Area or even Croom. Michael's the one that showed me this trail. I probably never would have found this on my own. But we're actually going to, we're gonna try and camp on this trail tonight because it's not very popular, and I'd be surprised if we had any traffic or company camping out here tonight. It's probably more of like a Jeep trail, but it is does get pretty tight, especially if you got a full-size rig. So we made it to our backup spot, and it is still pretty windy, but we have a lot of trees here to protect, you know, wind closer to the ground so we can actually have a campfire and cook and everything. Other than that, it's gonna be breezy no matter where we're gonna be in the forest today. But here's a little walk around. I like this spot because we're kind of on the top of a little hill, so you can see down pretty much 360 degrees. It's kind of thick on that side, but you can see down all the way over here. And if I was a bear or a deer, I'd probably be walking through here this evening. So we have a pretty good chance, I think, of seeing some wildlife as long as we're pretty quiet. But we have really good pine trees right here, spaced far enough apart for hammocks. And then Michael's gonna set up his camper over there. Ron's coming. I don't think Ron's gonna bring his camper. I'm pretty sure he's gonna bring his hammock. And our friend David might make it out here too. So I'm gonna set up my hammock, take a little nap. It is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and wait for Ron and David to come. You can see all the new scratches. I haven't washed it since the last time I went, so a lot of this is just not even scratches, it's just dust. But I want to go ahead and show you guys how I've organized a lot of my camping stuff. So the object is, this is like a 4.5 foot bed. I want to obviously have as much stuff in the bed. I want absolutely nothing in the cab. I just want this clean all the time. I don't really plan on putting anything other than I'm going to utilize the storage underneath the seat. So I have like all my clothes right here. I have a bag in there with like my toothbrush and soap and stuff like that for just like hygiene stuff. And over here, I have all my sleep system stuff. So I have my hammock, I have my down puffy blanket, I have my bug net, my rain fly, and then over there is the underquilt, which I regret not using last time because I froze my butt off. So I'm gonna actually put that on tonight because if the wind keeps up all night, or at least it picks up in the morning, that wind goes right through the hammock. So I pretty much have everything that I need in here. I also have like my fire starter kit and everything. So I have everything over here that I need to like solo camp or just go out camping by myself, minus food and cooking stuff. So that is the rest of the stuff I need to put under there. Obviously the cooking stuff's probably not going to fit, but I can at least fit the fire starter stuff, and then maybe a couple little bags of the freeze-dried meals I can heat up. But other than that, I don't plan on having anything inside the cab of the truck. So I got a cover for the bed to keep a lot of the dust out, even though it's not perfect. A lot of the dust is still gonna get in there. But I got the refrigerator right here. Man, look at all the dust that's in there already. All right, so the left side is the freezer side. That's at 32 degrees, and the other side I got at 43, which I probably need to bump that down. But before I came out today, I went ahead and installed this 12 volt socket right here for the refrigerator, so it's plugged into the truck. And I also have two USB ports right there so I can charge the GoPro and cell phone and stuff. But the Ford Maverick comes right here pre-wired. So as you can see right here, it's got a wire connector. Ford pre-wired the bed with 12 volt power. If I can get that back in there. So if you want to customize your truck yourself, all you have to do is just open up this little cubby, and I took the door off, drilled the holes, put my socket in there, and I used the pre-done up wire that's in there. Obviously it's not connected to this anymore because I have it connected to that, but that's really all you had to do straight from Ford. So that was pretty cool. So it's about 7:45 in the evening. David showed up, Michael got a nice fire going, and we're gonna start cooking. There's David's tent for this evening. Got my hammock set up over here. And we just made it simple. We were just here a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what? Dinner was so easy the other night that we're just gonna duplicate it. So we got mashed potatoes again, asparagus, which is a staple to the channel if you're not, if you're new to the channel. That's breakfast in the morning. And then I got another pork. Should be pretty good. So this is really easy. Basically, you're gonna wrap it twice in aluminum foil, and you're gonna put it right on the coals for approximately an hour. So I got the pork open. Basically, you're just gonna plop it right down here on your tin foil. It would probably help if you got some thicker tin foil, but me being a cheap person, I got the thin stuff, which didn't really help me because now I got to double wrap it, so I'm really spending about the same amount of money if I would have just bought the regular thicker tin foil. All right. And I do this twice. That's literally all there is to it. Like if you hate cooking or you don't know how to cook or anything, this was like $6 or $7 at Publix. Get you some tin foil and you just set it in the fire for about an hour. And then all you need is just a knife to slice it in little slices and then a fork to eat it with, or eat it with your hands, and it cannot get much more simple than that. And it's already marinated and seasoned, and it's just freaking delicious. So for a side, we normally do asparagus. It's really easy. All you do is just cut it down the center. If you have a small pan like this, add a little bit of butter, and then once that melts in the pan, you can kind of just shake it around, spread it out, and then I usually add Everglades seasoning, and it tastes really great. So we have sauteed asparagus, we have steak, we have grilled asparagus, we have water boiling right here for the mashed potatoes, and in that tin foil right there is the pork, which it's probably going on about 45 minutes right now. So here's an update on the food. There's the pork. It smells and tastes fantastic. Michael cooked probably one of the best steaks he's cooked in a very long time. Of course, we got the instant mashed potatoes. You cannot really mess those up. Asparagus is still on the grill, and we are waiting on Chef Ron to show up. So it's 11 o'clock at night right now, and Ron showed up about an hour and a half ago, and he actually went to a different campsite, and it turned out our friends were camping at the campsite, and they didn't even tell us they were here. So it is a little after 11, and we're gonna go raid their campsite and see if they're still awake or if they're just sitting around the fire drinking. So we are actually taking the short way to Hopkins Prairie, and if you have a full-size truck, this is where you're gonna get all scratched up. So let's rewind a little bit. We met a year ago, and you showed up in a CRV pulling a runaway camper.
That was an LX.
Ooh. And in a matter of a year, you went from CRV to this,
got a
and
goddamn
I just did the
Tacoma.
opposite. I went from this to an all-wheel drive truck.
You did Ford Maverick.
Yeah. So it's the next morning. We had a pretty eventful night last night. We went to our friend's camp that was actually at Hopkins Prairie, and even though we started off at Hopkins Prairie and it was too windy and we came here, they ended up camping at Hopkins Prairie, and it was a pretty nice night. So we went and hung out with them, stayed till about midnight, and we got about halfway back in Ron's truck, and I left my GoPro there. So we turned around to get my GoPro, and we ended up getting stuck twice in the prairie for a little while, and got the GoPro. And by the time I got back, it was like 1:30, and I left my hammock and stuff out, so it was totally soaked. So didn't really want to sleep in a soaking wet hammock, so I actually slept in the back seat of the Maverick, which actually wasn't too bad. So I got my little inflatable pillow, my little down puffy blanket right here, and it was actually pretty comfortable. So here's camp. David's tent, his Tacoma. My soaking wet hammock. Here's Ron's Tacoma. So this was a pretty fun, short little eventful trip anyway. I'm glad Ron got to show up. We got to take his truck out and we got it stuck in the prairie this morning. But this little Ford Maverick just keeps impressing me. It's so narrow that on these trails I really don't have to worry about anything scratching it, because sometimes I got a couple feet on each side. This is the only thing that really makes me nervous. You got these little coolers right here. I don't know if that's the transmission cooler. I don't know if it has the intercooler for the turbo or whatever, or power steering. I mean, I don't know what that is. I really haven't looked into this truck too much, but that's the only thing that makes me nervous, is just how low it is to the ground right here. Obviously, I doubt anyone's gonna make bumpers for this truck, and I probably wouldn't put bumpers on this thing anyway. But if someone made like a aluminum or a metal front lower bumper piece just to protect that, I would probably buy one of those just in case. But other than that, truck just keeps going and going and going. So if you're new to the channel or you have a Maverick, go ahead and click that subscribe button and stick around for more videos. Thanks everybody for watching and following along.